Hey, friends. Welcome back to Castro Valley News Live. This is episode 13, and wanted to start the episode off here sharing some information that I think we share basically every episode um, for folks who may be in need of food. Marshall Elementary School every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The wonderful folks with Marshall Elementary School PTA, they are giving away 500 free farmers to families boxes full of fruit and produce. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 500 boxes free, no questions asked. So the hours again, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or until all of the boxes are gone. And the folks with Marshall Elementary School are very happy to provide this service to the community. And the address for Marshall Elementary School is 20111 Marshall Street. Again, 500 free boxes full of fruit and produce for free. 10 a.m., 12 p.m., Marshall Elementary School, 20111 Marshall Street. And also on Saturdays is the huge food pantry at Three Cross Church. This is a very popular food pantry. If you've ever been there on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., you will see the line will go all the way through the parking lot, down the driveway to Castro Valley Boulevard. And there's a lot of goodies that they include in the boxes that they give out. And if you need the information for Three Cross Church, they are 20600 John Drive. Three Cross Church, you can't miss it. It's I think both of these services are contactless. They will load your trunk with the free food that they're giving away. Something cool that Three Cross Church is doing with their food pantry is they're doing delivery as well for folks with who may not be able to make it up to the church, be that mobility issues or transportation issues. You can give them a ring at 510-560-3106. One more time, 510-560-3106 if you have mobility issues or transportation issues and you would like to coordinate with them to get home delivery of the free food that they give out. And they give out a lot of good stuff, a lot of canned vegetables, fruits, eggs. Sometimes there's milk. Yes, and that food pantry is every Saturday starting at 9 a.m. Three Cross Church, 20600 John Drive. And that's it for someone is asking what day is the Marshall giveaway. That is Saturdays. The Marshall giveaway is Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Unless they run out of the 500 free boxes that they have of the fruit and produce. So those are the two things going on Saturdays. If you know of another food pantry, please send in the information. You could, it might be best just to email that in to us, castrovalleytelevision@gmail.com, all spelled out. And next Tuesday, when we promote those two other services, we'll let you know about those additional ones. So again, if you are with a church or a local organization who have a food drive or that are giving away free food, feel free to shoot us an email or post on the thread here to let us know, and we'll help promote the good work that you're doing. And I'm not sure if I mentioned that both of those um, uh, the Marshall and John Drive, the Three Crosses, and those are both free. So again, Saturdays at starting at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Marshall Elementary, 500 free boxes, fruit and produce. Marshall School, 20111 Marshall Street, and again the food pantry at Three Cross Church, 20600 John Drive, starts at 9. John is asking, any stores got looted in Castro Valley? There was one that I know of, a pharmacy on Lake Chabot Road. We'll be talking with Sheriff Sergeant Ray Kelly about the looting and that situation, also the curfew, in just a couple minutes. So we'll get to that. David says hello. How you doing, David? Good to see you here, and I hope you're doing well. Wanted to touch base on the protest yesterday. You probably know I was out there doing a lot of live streaming. It was a huge turnout. The protest, from the information that I had heard from a couple of people, is that it was kind of organized by some students at the high school. I was impressed at how organized it was. Overall, it was peaceful. Unfortunately, there were some people who drove by, or there was another person on a motorcycle who had some vulgarities for the group. There were actually some people in the group who, at one person who drove by in a truck, there was some water bottles tossed at the truck, which wasn't. Uh, it wasn't a peaceful thing to do, but there were, like I said, vulgarities thrown at some of the protesters. It was for the most part it was peaceful. I didn't stay for the entire thing because from what I understood, after I left, and I was out there, I think 90 minutes. I think uh, the, the intersection of Castro Valley Boulevard and Redwood, at a couple of points, the protesters created kind of a circle in that intersection and kind of overtook the intersection. There were other points. You can see this on the live stream where they overtook. They occupied all of the crosswalks as well. After I left, from what I understand, they kind of went in the other direction, on Redwood, and I think they ended up stopping near where the CHP office is, and I think CHP kind of came out and we're in the street there. From what I understand, it didn't turn violent, which is good because I know there were a lot of people who were concerned about that, myself included, because as a lot of people know, and a lot of people have suspected that if it was people were very concerned that a protest like that would bring in some people who wanted to be violent, and from what I saw, it wasn't violent. Um, there were a couple messages from people who said that cars had continued into the intersection where the protesters were, and I guess bumped into some of the protesters. I guess there was some guy. I think there was a DUI. There was someone who was drunk, who ended up going through the intersection when the protesters were there. While the protesters were out there kind of occupying the intersection, that was one of the things that crossed my mind quite a few times, is you can realize how people are going to be impatient, and the possibility for a car going into the intersection and maybe striking someone or injuring someone, that's a very real thing, and I'm very grateful that it didn't happen. A lot of people driving by honked and were in support. I think um, I think it was great that these students stepped up and organized this, and their voices were heard. I think another thing that was very unfortunate was the timing, because the night before was when um, San Leandro really got destroyed in a lot of locations, and some of those people looking to loot made their way into Castro Valley, and we had some windows broken. Like I had mentioned, there was a pharmacy on Lake Chabot Road that was legitimately looted. I don't know to the extent. I did um, the day after. I did go on my bicycle and checked it out. There were a couple windows broken at that pharmacy. It's kind of right across. It's across from the new medical center, which is kind of next to. I know I'm giving a whole bunch of goofy geographic locations here. It's kind of next to the Doolittle, but there were windows broken across town. Um, it it I can't imagine how law enforcement is managed to keep up with the pace of the crimes that had happened that night. And from what I understand, Bayfair was legitimately looted and set on fire. A lot of you folks were sitting listening to the scanner. I was as well. Walmart was hit numerous times. I believe Walmart was set on fire. I heard a report from KCBS the day after. One of the reporters went into the Bayfair Target that was hit numerous times, and he said that the shelves were just completely cleared out. Um, there were a lot of other locations on East 14th that were hit. Some places in the avenues. Just last night, Fairfield and Vallejo were hit hard. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to dive too much into this conversation because, like I said, we'll have Ray Kelly with the Sheriff's Department, and he'll give us some of his firsthand knowledge. Manuel's asking, what do I think about this situation, meaning the looting or the protests? I think the protests are great. People need to be heard. People need to be able to express themselves. Uh, they need to remain peaceful. And fortunately, here in Castro Valley, our protest remained peaceful. I understand that people are extremely frustrated and are pushing back because of what happened in Minneapolis. I don't. My gut tells me that returning violence with violence is not the answer. But again, I do understand how a lot of people are feeling like they have not been heard, are not being heard, and the violence against minorities continues to happen over and over again. Um, I was, for some reason, I heard a song that referenced the the riots in Los Angeles right after the beating of Rodney King happened, and in a lot of respects, it kind of seems like we're at the same point when that happened and this is happening. I'm sure that there have been other things that have been progressive and I mean, we know about it a whole lot more, but um, it really kind of seems like it is the same situation, given the fact, yes, Rodney King was not killed, and um, unfortunately, someone lost their life in Minnesota. But it does seem like the problem is still there. It doesn't seem like it has changed much. Um, I'm gonna say again, I'm glad that the students organized the protest, and I'm even more glad that it stayed peaceful. I think their message was heard, and it wasn't just students that were out there. There were a lot of faces, people that I know in Castro Valley, adults. There were parents. There were parents with kids that were out there. Um, for the most part, I know it was a big concern that a lot of people were worried about people not wearing masks. I don't. again, I was filming with my phone, so I wasn't really paying attention that much to people's faces. But I think most people were wearing masks or face coverings. Um, there was a lot of police cover. There were CHP out there, and there were sheriffs near Safeway because I think there was a threat of violence against that Safeway that circulated on social media earlier in the day, and a lot of gosh, there were a lot of threats that were going around late last week. And a lot of people were panicked. A lot of people were scared. I think a lot of those threats were going out specifically to scare communities. I think it was really unfortunate that a lot of the comments were um, a lot of the information that I saw were specific to Castro Valley and other areas perceived to be not ethnically mixed. I'm trying to say that politely. But I think a lot of those threats, thank goodness, were not founded. But again, that was last Friday, I believe, and there were a lot of people who messaged in to our Facebook page, and they were just paralyzed with fear. People saying, "What should we do?" And as soon as those things came in, I decked immediately messaged those threats and the screen captures that a lot of people sent to me. I sent those directly to the sheriff's office and CHP because they are the first people who should know when there's threats against the community. And as soon as Ray calls in, I'll let him address that. But the sheriffs are savvy, smart people. They are monitoring social media. They're listening to, they're watching comments because they need to know what's going on, and hopefully they can find out before before it happens. Someone asked if CHP took a knee with the group. I honestly don't know. I wasn't there. From the photos that I saw, um, have been law enforcement officers in other states that have been taking knees at protests, which is good to see. I'm sorry. I'm just texting Ray to see if he can call in. Bear with me, guys. Yep, Ray is saying great information. There are a lot of people hurting right now, and this is exactly what people need to help. I'm assuming that is in regards to those food pantries. Joel said Redwood Chapel has a food pantry giveaway on the third Saturday of every month. So there's another one to make note of. Redwood Chapel, that is on Redwood Road. I don't have the address. So I'll ask our moderator to put that up for you. And here we go. Hey Ray, thanks for calling.
Hey Robert, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm here in Dublin at our Office of Emergency Services. We're running the law enforcement mutual aid response for the civil unrest that's going on in the county.
I hear Oakland. Are there other hotspots right now?
Right now, we got we have some peaceful activities going on down in Fremont, Union City. We have a march going on in Oakland as well. It's still a little early. Usually, we don't see things pick up until it gets a little darker.
Right. So, God, where do we start with the things that were happening in Vallejo and San Leandro? Do you want to talk about the curfew or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so yesterday, Sheriff Ahern enacted a curfew and an emergency proclamation, basically declaring a local emergency in regards to the civil unrest that's going on in our county. I think everybody knows over the last several days, starting on Friday, it has been unprecedented in the amount of looting, arson, theft, violence going on right now. I heard you talk about San Leandro earlier. San Leandro really got decimated.
Yeah.
In regards to the looting. We've been out every night. We're basically working 18-hour days. We sleep for a little bit. We come back in. We do it all over again. It's been very, very busy. It's like one big blur. We're providing our sheriff's office is a mutual aid coordinator for the Bay Area. So we have to provide police resources and coordinate all that out of the Office of Emergency Services. And we assign those officers from throughout the state to the hot spots in the Bay Area. So we've been deploying officers over to San Francisco, obviously Oakland, and other cities throughout the area. So the curfew was put in place yesterday as a tool to help us better manage the civil unrest. And so we saw a dramatic change last night, and I think it definitely helped. Tonight will help bring a little bit of credibility to whether or not the curfew is effective. But last night it seemed to be effective because most of the community members went home. They stayed in their houses, and that allowed us to focus on the people that were out on the roads. And a lot of the people that were out on the roads were out there to do badness. And so we had a tremendous amount of car chases last night throughout the entire county. It would seem like there was one going on every few minutes. So tonight we'll keep with the same plan. We really appreciate everybody staying at home so that we can focus on the element that's out there doing all of this criminal activity. And I don't even know where to begin with the amount of stuff that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 days. It's as you can tell by my voice, we're tired.
Yeah.
It's been exhausting on the heels of COVID-19 as well. We've been running hard, Robert, and as you know, we were busy before that.
Yeah. Where I heard on KCBS, you mentioned something about you guys kind of know the source of where some of these looters may be coming from. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I released some data today. I looked at some of our arrest data from the last 24 hours, and during the last 24 hours, we arrested 122 people in the county. Of the 122 people that we arrested, 82 of those individuals were not from Alameda County. They were from either an adjoining Bay Area county, or they were from outside of our region, or they were from other parts of California or out of state. So kind of interesting that a lot of people have come into our county to take part in the criminal activity that's going on and completely taking advantage of the community. So that's just a snapshot of one day. We're going to go back and look at, when things settle down, go back and look at some of the data and see who exactly was coming into our community, who was doing it, why they were doing it, and get a better understanding of that. But I think so it's been a learning curve, and I think people need to realize that, and what everybody at home needs to realize is that there's a few different things going on right now. There's civil, peaceful protest that's going on that is very well understood by law enforcement, that we are in agreement with those protesters over what was seen in Minneapolis. There is agreement in law enforcement that there are a tremendous amount of issues in our community that we need to talk about and address and deal with in regards to policing in America and policing in the 21st century. So those are conversations that absolutely need to occur, and that is well known based on what the voices of the community throughout the nation are telling law enforcement. They're loud and clear telling law enforcement we're not happy with what we've seen, and we believe that this case is like so many others stories that have been untold in regards to what's going on. So some of that is absolutely true, and so we have to, as law enforcement, take a look at our profession and realize that we've obviously, some of the things that we've done historically have left a lot of people hurt. Not to take away from all the great things that law enforcement does do, and the good work that law enforcement has done every day, but there are people in the community that are not happy, and these are a lot of social issues around race and economic issues and equity issues, and so I think a lot of our young people from all backgrounds are telling us this is not where we want to go in the future. So we have to look at all that, and in the middle of all that, try to be understanding and be part of the community, and then deal with the civil unrest and everything that's going on, where people are using the good spirit of the protest and the call for change. And there's elements that have come in to create anarchy and unrest. And then there's people out there who want to get greedy, and they want to steal and rob and destroy businesses that care for our community, businesses that employ people in our community, and then decimate those locations. And so now we have communities in Alameda County, people can't go get their prescriptions. They can't go get services or supplies. People are now out of jobs because they were working in retail. Those were our frontline workers for COVID-19. Those stores were vital to our sheltering and helping our communities weather through COVID-19. So I know San Leandro got really decimated. I know parts of Oakland have been decimated by the looting, and they're really going to be hurting. And so,
Yeah.
Castro Valley, we had a little bit of sporadic activity. Some of it was spillover from what was going on in Oakland and San Leandro, but our deputies were very responsive to it. So hopefully we did a pretty good job limiting it. We had a peaceful protest in Castro Valley yesterday, very well attended, very well done, and no real problems with that. We had a very good one in Dublin as well. It was organized by young people. They had a great peaceful protest that was very respectful of the community. So, and we had in Oakland yesterday, we had 15,000 people do a very peaceful protest of solidarity. And then there was just those fringe criminal elements that come in, and they create the chaos and the problems, and they throw rocks at us, they throw bottles, they throw Molotov cocktails. We've taken gunfire for the last 5 days. We have bullet holes in our cars. We got really lucky down at Bayfair. Suspects opened fire on us down there, narrowly missing San Leandro PD and our deputies down there. So all night, we've had suspects shooting at us and trying to kill us because we wear a uniform. And we saw that in Oakland as well, where the federal security officer was gunned down for no reason, and left and died on the street in front of the federal building in Oakland. He was an African American man as well. So I'm not. We're trying to make sense of it all and see, and understand. But it's hard to. There's a lot of demands on law enforcement right now to do all this and to keep community safe, and it's difficult. I'm not looking for sympathy for law enforcement. I'm just saying it's difficult. And then we have the COVID-19 issues as well. So it's kind of what's it. I know I'll take some questions, Robert, because I know a lot of people might have questions around the curfew. They might have questions about the civil unrest and some of the criminal activity going around the community. We can talk about that.
Are people being cited for being out without good purpose, and what is the criteria to be out?
So you know, because we've gone through COVID-19 already and the shelter-in-place stuff, people have experience in this, but the curfew order is designed to get people to stay at home so that we can focus on the criminal element operating out there in the community. So if you have essential needs that need to be met, you can go out in the curfew. You can travel to and from work. You can go help a loved one or go do whatever you need to do, as long as it's essential and valid and in good faith in regards to the curfew. But we don't want people going out business as usual. And really, the stores are all closing and everything, so there's not a lot that you'd be able to really go do. But I know a lot of people like to go out in the evenings and walk. About 8 o'clock it's usually nice, especially in Castro Valley in our part of the Bay Area. The weather's nice. It's nice to go to the park. It's nice to kind of get out before the sun goes down. So just bear with us just for another few days until we get our hands wrapped around this criminal element that's going through the county and just devastating us. And so tonight will be very key in letting us understand what the tempo is and where it's headed. If tonight is like last night, that shows us that we're moving in a good direction.
Yeah. The night when San Leandro got hit, I know you had messaged me. We were kind of conversating a little bit. I was listening to the scanner and it was just nonstop, and it was everywhere.
Yeah, I was. I can tell you, in all my years I've been here, 24 years. The sheriff's been here 40 years. Commander Amaral has been a cop for 54 years, and nobody has ever seen what we saw this weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and nobody has ever seen anything quite like that. I talked to Chief Tudor in San Leandro the other day after what happened in his city. He was just devastated by the amount of things that happened in his community and trying to heal his community. And my heart goes out to him and to San Leandro for what happened. And so, we are so invested in our communities that when stuff like this happens, it's heartbreaking to us because we spend our lives working in these cities and in the county and trying to make it a better place. And after something like this happens, in regards to law enforcement and public trust, it's like we got to start over from zero again. Yeah. Because a cop somewhere across the country did something really, really bad, and just something so horrific that people can't even comprehend it. But he might as well have had every police department patch in America on his arm, because I don't know of any other profession where one person in your profession can do that, and your entire profession is under immense scrutiny. So we have to be perfect at all times, on top of the way we do our job, and we cannot have any more of these incidents. And so we have to start over at zero and build back all that trust in each and every community, all of them across the country, including our own. So that lies ahead, So we got to get there first, though. We can't even begin to start the healing process till we can control the looting and the criminal activity going on right now.
Yeah. Someone was asking about officers being in riot gear. I think that was CHP.
In Castro Valley?
Yeah. I believe that was...
It might have been, and CHP, they're a statewide agency and they have policies in place, and they may have been in their gear in anticipation, and that may have been their orders in regards to how they deployed that evening. So that's okay. They've been dealing with a lot throughout the state, and that may be their policy as of right now. And so I can't really comment on what CHP is doing, but yeah. I can understand why they might have been given that direction.
Yeah. And I do know that there were quite a few ACSO deputies at Safeway during the protest because of that other threat that was circulating. Can you talk about some of the threats that are going on the internet? Because I know you and I went back and forth Friday about the numerous threats that were just going all over.
Yeah, so there were so many threats, and I know you were sending them to me, and I was like, I was giving you kind of short responses, like I got it, and I see it. And there were so many, and like, they were threats, and then there would be some type of message written on, like for Castro Valley, it had the Safeway with a picture of the Safeway and meet at the corner, and we're going to loot this location and whatnot. And they give you a date and a time, and it creates a lot of anxiety and fear. And we then have to rush over there and see, and then that pulls resources, but then something else is going on across town. And so we're not sure if some of those are by design to throw us off, or they really was intention to do that. But a lot of stuff has been thrown out on social media, and we have to scour through, thousands and thousands of messages to find just some crumbs that are there of information, because a lot of the communication that's going on between the different groups involved in the looting is taking place where we can't see it. It's not open source information. It's people direct messaging or using social media, and using social media that we can't have access to or can't get into because we're not friends with those individuals. And it's all unfolding really rapidly and moving quickly. And so the learning curve over the last few days has been steep as far as trying to get a handle on this, because we're trying to figure out how the groups operate, how they move from place to place, and how they do it in an organized kind of way. And so I think we're starting to slowly figure those things out and see. But I think there was some messaging put out in lots of communities, not just Castro Valley, where there's going to be a looting, there's going to be this at this particular spot or this city. And it caused a lot of anxiety for people. And so a lot of people were scared, concerned about it. And so, we tried to be as responsive to each one that we could, but it was very early on. We were completely overwhelmed with everything that was going on. There was no way we could
keep up
stop
with it. Yeah.
There's no way. There was no way. We did change some of the ways and some of our strategic planning and how we're going out and doing things now over the last few. And I think that our strategy that we came up with to mitigate all of this looting and criminal activity is hopefully going to work for us. So we'll see last night, tonight, and the rest of the week will be telling. And then we come into the weekend again, and we're hoping it doesn't start up again, but we'll see. But we're trying to get some pause here and figure it out.
Last night sounded kind of calm.
It was more calm. It was more calm, but there was a lot of car chases last night. But what was the only good part about the car chases was the fact that we knew most of the community was at home, and most of the bad guys were out on the road, and we knew that it gave us the ability to kind of chase them and run them off, and in some cases catch them. And we knew that everybody was safe at home, and they weren't necessarily going to be hit by a car or be the victim of a collision because they were following the shelter-in-place order and the curfew order. So that gave us a little bit more flexibility and room to go after those individuals.
In regards to the looters being caught and arrested, someone has a question. How does the zero bail policy affect the looters that are arrested?
So looting is covered in the new bail schedule from the Judicial Council. So looting is one of the crimes that is not zero bail.
Oh, good.
And that's a good thing. And if I'm looking right here at the judicial orders, and it's in Section 4, but it does talk about looting and some of the other crimes that are being committed during the civil unrest and with COVID are not zero bail. So a lot of the people we've been getting for the looting comes with like a $50,000 bail.
Ooh.
And then usually looting is accompanied with a burglary charge, some type of other charge. So we've been able to hold those folks in custody, and our jail population has gone up quite a bit over the last week or so. So it's gone up about a couple hundred. So, like I said, we booked in 122 people last night, and so we'll see. And then I know Oakland ended up arresting, but later citing a bunch of people as well. So, but that's just a drop in the bucket when you have thousands and thousands of people, like we did this weekend, doing the looting and the criminal activity.
And they kept going back to spots over and over again.
So what ended up happening is we would leave a spot after we got it cleared out, and then we would go to the next spot, try to clear that out, and then the looters would double back on us and go back and hit it again. That happened in San Leandro quite a bit, happened at Bayfair quite a bit, and then they would start fires inside the businesses to try to burn them down to pull in our resources there so that they could go loot at another spot, and then we got really lucky in a lot of those because fire wasn't able to come in, but thankfully with sprinkler systems and fire suppression systems in all those buildings, they put a lot of the fires out.
Are you hearing of anything? Bear with me. Let me find this person's name. Julie is asking, is there a suspicion of local involvement and of reoccurrence?
I looked through all the arrests from yesterday, and I did not see very many folks from San Leandro, Castro Valley, or Hayward, for that matter. So I don't think there are necessarily local people in Castro Valley necessarily involved in the looting and the criminal activity. I really don't think that at all, actually. I think that this is there are different elements at play here. There's obviously the peaceful protesters. There's probably like three different things going on right now in regards to all this. There's the peaceful protesters and the people that are involved in the social justice side of this. You have the anarchist type individuals that like to create chaos in those crowd control type situations and throw bricks and rocks at the police and break windows and that. And then you have a third element, which is that criminal element that wants to go loot and steal and shoot at people and do all that activity. So there's three different elements out there that we can kind of identify. And the last two, the anarchist individuals and the criminals that are doing all the looting, those are the ones that are concerning to us. So last night was a night of criminal activity. Some of the nights before were the anarchist types. And so they do operate kind of together, but they kind of have separate missions, if you will, and different mindsets in what their goals are to accomplish during the crisis. That's the best way I can kind of describe it from what we're kind of understanding about it.
And I'm assuming you guys are still in overtime mode, right?
Yeah. We had talked about going to. I mean, everybody's at work and they're working, and the sheriff's office is unique in the fact that we have to still run the courts, the coroner's bureau, the county jail, the civil division, our patrol operations in all our different communities. And we are also the emergency managers for COVID-19, so we have to run that operation as well. So we're stretched pretty thin, but our people have been amazing, going out every night, fearless, honestly, brave, strong, courageous, smart, and I say that in the way that they operate, not valuing property over people's lives, even when the situation, you have people doing all these things, but showing tremendous restraint, and not escalating situations, and just letting putting life over property, putting their own safety even behind that of the criminals that are doing these things. So our people have done an amazing job, and so we're really lucky to have them in our community. To be honest, it's very, very proud of the job they're doing.
What's been the has there been a policy change in regards to so many people being out there and the COVID-19 and possible infections?
Yeah, so I mean, over the last several days, the whole COVID-19 thing's kind of been lost, right?
Right.
And like we can't forget that that's what the problem, one of our major problems is right now. So here at the Office of Emergency Services, where I've been working for the last several months on COVID-19, and we've talked about it, and I've been on your calls and show with it. We've gone over all the stuff and showed, and we really flattened the curve, and we really did a good job. And over the last few weeks, as we slowly began to kind of lift restrictions, now we're seeing a spike in cases and in hospitalizations right now. But we've seen some reductions in the deaths from COVID-19 in the county, but so this works from my learning and seeing what's gone on over the last several months. You really don't know until about 2 weeks from now when the symptoms and the illness begins to take effect in people. So whatever's going on now in regards to COVID and the virus and the spread of the virus, we won't see the results of that for quite some time. So at least 2 weeks from now, we may have a tremendous amount of spikes in COVID-19 cases throughout our county and the Bay Area. And so the spread, and I was talking to Dr. Pond today, the spread will definitely be some spread from all of the activity that's been going on. And that's further exposed all of our people, all of the community. And now we have more people in jail when we were trying to get people out of jail because of COVID. And now we're putting people back into jail. And it just creates it's exacerbated the problems for all of us. And then people haven't been going to do testing and all those other things because they're concerned about, going out or leaving the house and all that. So we'll have to get back on COVID-19 when we can get our hands around the civil unrest part of all this.
Roger's asking, is there anything that the community can do to support you?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't do our job without everybody. One of the best things people can do is actually help us by following the curfew so that we can go out and look for the looters and the criminal activity that's going on out there. So if you're home, we know you're home, then you're safe, and we don't have to worry about you, and we don't have to worry about you being out on the road or walking or being out on the roadway so that we can go arrest these folks. And so the community can help by following the guidelines till Friday. We're just asking you to give us till Friday to get this done so that we can restore some order back to the community. And so that's how people can help. And then, keep doing our COVID-19 protocols and following the health guidelines. And so we can stay ahead of this. We don't want to go backwards with all the strides that we've made so far. And so if we can do that, then we can continue to loosen the restrictions, move through phase 2 of COVID-19 into the phase 3, which is definitely more toward full reopening. And that will get us through this summer months. Let's get through the summer months. So, which with zero bail, by the way.
Yeah.
Through the summer months with zero bail, with unprecedented civil unrest in all of our communities across the country, but somehow we'll get it all done. So everybody can help in regards to this by being neighborly, by being a good community member, even if you don't support us, even if you don't like us, just do it for your neighbor. Do it for your community. You don't have to like the police. We understand that, but just do it for your community so our communities can get back to work and working order. We can fix the stores and all the damage that's been done.
This is just going to be a double whammy for the businesses who have been closed for months because of COVID, the shelter, and now there's so many businesses in Castro Valley, and I'm assuming everywhere else, everyone's just boarded up.
Yeah, and then it makes you wonder if some of our bigger businesses and our bigger retailers are they going to want to reinvest? Are they going to want to invest back into reopening that particular store or that pharmacy or that shopping center? So we'll see how that goes. But once those get destroyed, will they reopen again? Will they get fixed? We hope so. And there's people that work in those stores, and there's people that have worked in those stores for many years, and they are part of that work family, and they know each other, and now they're all out of jobs, and so it definitely made it worse. It definitely made it worse for a lot of people who are, and those people that were working in all the stores we were relying on them to get through COVID-19. They became like, the folks we relied on the most in the community, even more than the law enforcement or fire or anybody.
Amanda is asking, are any individuals arrested being charged with domestic terrorism?
No. But the U.S. attorney has, and the federal government has come in on some of these cases that have occurred since the COVID-19 issues have started around zero bail. So we have had the federal government come in and charge some cases where they normally probably wouldn't. But so I think the government is looking, and when they see certain cases that are of national concern or of concern to the U.S. Attorney's Office, they may come in on those cases and prosecute them. And so we've had two of those in Alameda County recently, where they came in and the feds took those cases. And the federal government cases are very different. They come with potentially a lot of jail time.
What can you discuss what those two cases were?
One was a guy that did the multiple carjackings in Dublin, and then one was a prolific car thief, burglar, gun carrying guy out of Fremont.
Okay. Wanted to pass along that there are quite a few people who are expressing thanks. Karen Hart appreciates your hard work. Also,
thanks, Karen.
Alicia is saying, stay safe and thank you for keeping us safe. And Sunny is saying, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to us. Seriously, just the little bit of nice things that people say feel really good right now, because we've heard so much anger directed toward us. And particularly, I want to recognize our deputies, and our deputies who work for us from the African American community have taken a tremendous verbal abuse from our community for doing this job and for being a person of color. It actually makes me emotional to think about it. The verbal abuse that they've taken, so bad that when they're on the lines dealing with the riots and the protests, we have to check on them to make sure they're okay. They've been so good, but our African American deputies and our deputies from the different communities, the minority communities, have taken some verbal abuse that has just been inhumane, just because they wear a badge. That's been very hard. But wow, they believe so much in what the job that they're doing for everyone. They just take it. They just take these. And until you've had someone up in your face saying just horrific things, literally putting both middle fingers up at your eyes and telling you what's a horrible human being you are because you have a badge on your chest or a patch on your arm, it's horrible. So yeah, our deputies have been through a lot, and people have been trying to kill them as well on top of all that. So.
Mitzi says her and her husband thank you and support you, and Carlos says thank you for keeping you safe. Shelly says thank you, appreciate all you do. We can wrap this up now. There's not a lot more questions. Let's just give the information about the curfew and the hours that it covers.
Sure.
and when it expires.
Yeah, so the curfew started yesterday. We've already done one full day of it. It's 7:55 now, Robert. So
5 more
you're
minutes.
gonna have to take it in, take it
Yeah.
inside in the next 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then we'll continue with this until Friday, June 5th. So 3 more days, and then it'll expire Friday morning at 5 a.m. And then hopefully we'll have a different picture and a different story to tell the next time we talk. So 3 more days after tonight, and we'll get through it, and we'll see where it goes. And then now it's curfew time here shortly, and then our folks may hopefully not get too busy tonight, but they're ready. They're out there. We have hundreds and hundreds of officers in the county ready to work tonight and stop all the nonsense that's going on.
Great. Thank you so much for calling in, Ray. I appreciate your time.
All right, and thank you to everybody for your nice comments, and please, we appreciate your support more than you realize. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks, Ray. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, guys. So there you have another wonderful firsthand conversation with Alameda County Sergeant Ray Kelly. As you heard, they've been stretched super thin with what's been happening. And with that said, we've reached just about an hour here. Wanted to thank everyone for your comments on the thread, and thank everyone for tuning in. We will talk to you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. We'll talk about things happening in town and any questions that you may have. With that said, thanks again, everyone. Please stay safe out there. Stay home. Let the sheriffs do their job during the curfew hours, which starts in 3 minutes. And if you can, as much as possible, support our local businesses, the businesses that are still open. I know there's a lot of storefronts that you see that are boarded up. A lot of those businesses are still open. Those folks are our neighbors. They're our friends. They're people we see on a daily basis. Let's keep them afloat as much as we can, and let's keep each other afloat as much as we can by being neighborly and being caring for each other, particularly at this time where it seems like everything is completely foreign to us. We're living in a new world, and I know we'll make it through this if we're there for each other. Also, I mention this every episode. Please, if you have a senior citizen, neighbor, or a friend who is a senior, reach out to them, let them know you care, let them know if they need anything, you're there to help. Again, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. This is all audio, no video. I know people are commenting about the black screen. We don't do video on this. Last time, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in. You guys are great. What a wonderful community we have. We'll get through this. Take care, everyone.